Hi everyone, so in this tutorial we will be creating a sliding sidebar in React using Semantic UI. That's how it looks like. When you click on it, it slides in and out, and as you can see the rest of the page kind of dims to put emphasis on the menu, and I think that's a pretty cool effect that you can use. Now what I have here is just a blank, pretty basic React stackblitz project. And before we get started, let's go into dependencies and check what dependencies I have. So the first thing you want to bring is class names and semantic UI CSS. Just type in the names in the search field and they'll be brought in for you. All right, and after that dependencies are done, then what you can do is just come over here and create a new folder just to tidy things up. Let's call it components, and this is where we'll be putting our components. And we will just create a couple of components. The first thing will be header, and let's create, that's going in the wrong place. We'll just put it in the right place. So let's create our main, that's our main area, and then one will be for the sidebar. Okay, so with those done, I'll just start with the header.js, and we'll start putting in, the basic stuff that we need to put. So let's import React. If I can type. And once that is done, we'll just define a function. We'll call it header. And for now, what we will do is let this header return, a simple h1. We'll add stuff to it as we go along. So we'll just say header, and then also let's not forget our semicolon, and let's also export this out so we can use it in our index.js file. So I'll come over here and then bring in the header. We don't need that, by the way. All right, so for some reason it's not rendering. All right, it's taking a while to load actually. And sometimes, this thing just takes a while. All right, so I think one thing I missed is its components. So let's make sure we fix that. There you go. So we see our header. Okay, now, so we're just going to go now to the main. I'm just going to be lazy, copy and paste the code, and we'll just change whatever we have to change. Okay, let's bring that in here into the index.js and see if we can render that. Let's go, that's our main, and then finally let's go into the sidebar and we'll do the same. Let's just import that. Cool, so we got our header, we got our sidebar, and we got our main. So now to have a page where you have a header and a sliding sidebar and a main component, there's a certain structure to that. There's a certain layout we got to follow. So what we can do is start adding that in here. But before we do that, we're going to bring in the CSS, the semantic CSS. So just type in the import for that. Okay, with that done, nothing much happens at this point. But once you start adding the CSS classes, then you will see. So what I'll do is I'll start with the header, and we'll start to beautify this a bit. Maybe a black bar at the top, the gray text. And I'll just use the menu text, but you can definitely change it to an icon or an image as you prefer. Now these classes that I'm adding are from the semantic website. So if you go on their docs and read up on them, you will find them. So everything is listed here actually. And as you can see, the text is kind of black right now and a black background. So we can definitely change the color to make it look a little bit better. We'll just give it a gray color. And there you go, that's much better. And as you can see, when I hover my mouse over it, the background changes, which is very nice. Okay, now let's go into the sidebar and start fixing that. We can start with an unordered list for simplicity and start adding the menu items. We can add the necessary classes for now. So I just quickly added more items. Now we're gonna just add a top div and start adding the classes to, I'll kind of give it a nice shape to our sidebar. So we'll wrap the sidebar and the main in its own div. And we're just gonna throw in some classes for now. We'll just leave it blank and then move all of this inside. And let's just do indentation, and we'll just add whatever semantic UI tell us to do. All right, so now it's taking up whatever space the div is giving it. So what we can do is just give it some style and say, hey, take all the space available to you, like the entire space, which is 100 VH or view height. And there you go. Now it's kind of laying below the header, which is nice. And then we're going to add another div, which is for the main item. So we'll just put that in there. And then I'll add the classes for that. So we'll add the bottom class because we want to have it at the bottom of the header. And then the other class. So now let's go into the header and see if we can attach a click event. When you can tap into the click event of the menu button, we'll just add an on-click event listener. And for now, we'll just create a simple function that will console log, whatever, to tell us that at least things are working. Okay, so when I click it, I should be able to see toggle, and that's good. Okay, so that thing is working well. We'll just get rid of that for now. And what we need to do is somehow take this click event from this header and have it lifted up into the sidebar. Because that's our goal eventually, to have the sidebar come in and out. Okay, so we're gonna have to pass in some properties that we're gonna hook in the a event into it, and then in here in our index.js, we're gonna say, that on toggle menu, then basically call this function. So it's like a callback function, and this function then we have to define it here. In our index.js. So we just want to make sure that the names are correct. Yeah. And we're going to add the props because that's what it gets passed into. And then we'll come over here and we will define this function. Let's for now just log, index.js toggle, just to make sure that at least this is working. So if I come to console and then hit it, that's good. So this is working. That's good. Now we need to take this somehow and kind of bring it up into the sidebar component. So for that, we will use something called hooks. And hooks are pretty amazing in React. You can do a lot of cool stuff with them. And the syntax they follow is an array destructuring syntax. So the first name is just a variable that you want to set. And then the second one is the function you can call to set that. We'll use the use state hook, and we'll set it to false initially. And you might have to import that from React. So we'll just say set toggle, and we will kind of just flip it back and forth. And these, just make sure you import the use state. Then I'll come into my sidebar, and then I'll just say props, and let's for now just use another hook, and that hook is called use effect. So let's import that first from React. Say use effect, and we'll use this. I'm using this just to console log this. We won't be needing it actually. So it just takes a function, and we will just say console log, toggle dot whatever we named it, a property. So let's see, this name. So we'll just paste in this name. And now if we hit the menu, so initially it's false, it'll be hidden, but as I hit it should be true, false, kind of flipping back and forth. Okay, I'll get rid of this because I don't really need this. And we need to kind of set this visible property. We need to set this, and this is where we're going to use the class names. So let's import the class names first. So we'll say import, and we'll just call it whatever you want to call it. We can just create a variable classes, and we can just take all these classes and define them in here. Now this is the property that we should be turning on and off, or based on the toggle property. And I think I have it backwards. It should be the other way around. It should be whatever class. So we want to add this class based on this property. So we'll just say add the visible class or remove it based on this toggle property. Okay, so that's that. And if everything is done, amazing. There you go. So you got this. Now the other property class you want to add is animating, so that it smooths out both the in and out of the menu. So that's pretty good. Now the other thing we want to do is dim the rest of the page, and we'll just follow the same kind of structure where we bring in the classes first. And the property that actually controls the dimming of the page, the class name is called dimmed, and that's what we can use to do that. And that will be controlled by the toggle property again. So we'll just say dimmed, and we'll say toggle. And then I can just come down here and replace this with the classes variable. Don't forget your curly braces. And beautiful. So now you can see the whole page actually dims, which is very nice. Other things you could do is just come over here and change where you want the menu to appear. So I could have it appear from bottom, which is kind of nice, I think. Or you can just have it appear from top, whichever you prefer. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a menu, and you can create your own. Thanks. Bye.